drug abuse, depression, suicide. How pets can help you get through these hard times. Life. Music. Bullying. Being bullied. Emotions. All these and more you can find on my channel of the stories that I've gone through, the struggles that I've gone through and I've made it through, and I've been able to have the coping skills and also tools to help me get through. It's still a rather big struggle today, but it's not. I got the coping skills to be able to get through them, and I will tell you in my stories what I got to get there. It wasn't easy. It took a lot of time, a lot of hard work. Some of it I really was lost at some parts. I ended up being hospitalized because of it in a mental institution for suicide when I was younger. I don't deal with that anymore. I haven't dealt with that for years, and I'm very proud of that. It took a long time for me to get there, and there's a lot of coping skills I use. Everyone has their own different ways of coping with things like that, but one of the biggest things is to open up, to talk about it, because we don't want to talk about that kind of stuff. We don't want to talk about addiction. We don't want to talk about depression. We don't want to talk about what makes us sad, you know. We want to talk about just emotions, you know. We don't want to talk about that. We want to be the manly person. We want to be the person that's always happy. Well, we are always happy to kind of show that everyone knows that we're okay, but deep down inside, some of us are hurting, and we don't. And some of you may not even know it. You could see someone that's funny, that's happy, that laughs, that jokes. But deep down inside and hiding inside is the demon inside them that is really hurting inside, and they just need that someone to talk to, you know. They just need that someone to be there with them and to be there for them. And one of the biggest things is that you can do for someone is to listen, you know, to be a listening ear. And you know, one of the things that I really coped on for is my grandma was a huge inspiration for that. She had a huge listening ear, and she always helped me whenever I could, whenever she needed to, or whenever she could. You know, we got a very big bond with that because she was someone who listened to what I had, you know, what I felt, and tried to help me through those times. Even my mom sometimes even helped through those, and I know even with some struggles that I've gone through, that it's been really hard on my mom, and it's been hard on me because I have to look back and I have to see the battle scars that I've gone through, you know. Just think that basically you just cut yourself once and you make it through. No, you end up destroying your body. And sometimes this is a release. This is not something we intentionally do to draw attention. We don't do it to, it's more of an addiction to get rid of the pain that's inside. And it's not, you know, it's not like a pain like if you go out there and break your foot, or you cut your finger and you go through a lot of pain there. And this is more deeper than that. This is a pain that no one can ever imagine, and it's a little bit more harder to get rid of, and it's more intense, I feel, in my life, because I've gone through pain. I've gone through, you know, broken bones and stuff like that, but I've never been able to compare that to the amount of pain that I've gone through with depression, with addiction, and I don't have a huge addiction now to any kind of drugs, but it was more of huffing that was for me of wanting to not be here. I didn't want to be here. I didn't feel like I could be here, or that I deserved to be here, because of the depression I went through. And it wasn't because I was depressed because of something. It doesn't have to be just because you're depressed. Oh, why are you depressed? Well, it doesn't have to be a reason. There could be a chronic issue that you can't escape it. It's something that comes back every single time. And I'm a huge influence on that, or influence, not influence, but I'm a huge survivor of suicide, depression, addiction, abuse as a child, neglect, people have given up on me because of how depressed I was, and they weren't sure what to do about it. So they did what they needed to, that they thought that they needed to, and I don't blame them for that. It's hard. It's going through, being with someone who understands that, they're trying to, help, but they can't. No, you can't, but you can be a listening ear. You can listen to what they have to say, and just by you being that listening ear, it can help taking walks. It's not exactly that simple, though. You can go take a walk. Doesn't necessarily solve the problem all the time. I've been in that situation where I've been taking walks, and I think about in the past when I was in my 20s, which I'm now 34 now, so it's been several years. But it was a huge thing for me where I do go off and take walks, and I still have problems. I still have, thoughts of suicide, or thoughts of wanting to huff for numerous reasons, for taking the pain away, because huffing does kind of make you numb. It makes you feel good, but it can also kill you. And I was at that time when I was doing that in my 20s and my teens, I didn't care. And you don't care. And that's the thing. And I put up on my channel art, I put a couple of numbers up there, whether it would be bullying, because I've been bullied in my life. I've survived bullying. I've been bullied because I had braces on my feet. I've been called numerous names. For example, piss head. I've been called, I've been punched in the stomach, and I didn't do anything. I didn't defend myself because I didn't deserve that. I didn't deserve, or I felt like I didn't deserve to defend myself because I wasn't worth anything. This was when I was between 12 years old. Well, no, about 14. When I was in middle school. Most of my middle school was the toughest years for that part, for bullying. It kind of got better once I got into high school, but it was very hard for me. It was very hard to go to school every day and know that I'm going to be bullied, or I'm going to be looked at and be told that I'm ugly, that I'm not good looking, that I'm no good, I don't deserve to live, that I'm nothing. And I honestly, it's really easy to believe that when you're a kid. And I see all these kids, bless their hearts, I see all these kids that don't make it. They go out and they get bullied, and they go through depression, and they go through a lot of pain, and they can't handle it, and they end up killing themselves. And it breaks my heart every single time, because I know I've been through that, and I'm a survivor of it. whenever I see someone else had gone through that and a parent had gone through that there's nothing really they could have done, or they did all they could, and that's all they, you did whatever you could, and that's the important part. I don't ever say that you didn't do enough, because you parents know best. And then we have some other people that are going through family problems, whether it would be a divorced parent, or a parent's going through drug abuse, or you end up having a situation where your family's in a gang. I never dealt with any of that. I got a lot of love, but I was adopted, and my mother gave me up for adoption because we were being abused by my father. That's what she had said that she thought, and I believe that, because there was a lot of pain that came along, and I didn't understand where it came from. It just came out of nowhere. I just stopped eating. I started overdosing on medication that they were giving me for mental health. And this is not a topic that I like to talk about, but I need to talk about. I need to tell my story so that way people can say, well, you know what, he made it. Why can't I? To be that person that can help out, maybe inspire others, and that's my biggest dream of all. I can't tell you enough of how much that and that is so important to me. There's people out today that are YouTubers, and I'm not saying one person or another. There's many people that go through depression because of money, because of a situation, or maybe they just lost their significant other, or they lost their grandmother. I lost my grandmother, and I lost it. Lost it for several years, and I'm starting to finally get a grasp on life. When I mean lose it, I mean that you just don't care. But at that point, I wasn't suicidal. But did thoughts come up in my head? Yeah, I wanted to go home. I wanted to be with my grandma, because that was the biggest person that helped me through a lot of things. And my suicide problem when I was younger, going up into my 20s, into an adulthood, was so bad that I had to be put into a program, and because I just wouldn't stop. They were scared that if they would let me go back home, that I would be dead. And do I believe that? Yes. I do believe that when you end up doing it, I don't think of it as a consequence. And I've dealt with that for numerous times, especially with the MHPs that I've dealt with, that, oh, you do this, you're going to go back here. Well, I don't want to have it as a punishment, because that doesn't help me. Punishments are not something that I'd suggest to influence or to bring on to someone that does something like that. Punishment is not the answer. That makes it worse. And I've dealt with a lot of that myself, so that's why I'm saying that, because I've made things much worse. I'm going to be talking about a lot of stuff, and I hope you guys can subscribe. This is my new channel, and I still deal with depression today. It's a very chronic situation where I deal with it on a daily basis, and I just try to get through the best I can. I create music as a DJ, and that helps out my depression. It makes me feel good when I create a track, even if it's not the best. No, it's not up there like the big channels, but hey, I'm doing something productive. I'm doing something I can feel proud of. I feel good being who I am for once, and what an accomplishment that is. I feel very, very proud of myself, but this is a topic that is very hard to talk about. So bear with me, as sometimes I will get emotional about it, because it's a very, very sensitive subject for me. But it needs to be told, because there's a lot of kids that are suffering that don't have anyone to help with, and some of those that do have that offering aren't getting the help they need. And I'm suggesting speak it out, talk about it, because you're important. You're very important. You're very special. You're not ugly. You're very beautiful today, adults and children. You know, you have a purpose in life, and it's important that you be here. There's no reason for you to not be here. I mean, whether you'd be a firefighter or you may be an inspiration to another person that's going through the same thing. You know, I didn't think I was going to make it when I was in my teens and 20s. I didn't want to make it, you know, at that time. I didn't care. I just wanted to be gone, because I didn't want to live like that no more. I don't want to live with all the pain. And it really feels good to be able to be free from having to not have control. And for those people that if your child says, I don't have control over it, please believe them, because I didn't have control over it. It wasn't an option for me. I was out of control, and that's what it is. I was out of control, and I needed the help that I needed. And by going into the hospitals and the rehabilitation programs that I went through some of the hospitals, I was able to gain somewhat of a base ground to understanding coping skills to help me get through these. And I'm going to be going through each channel, not talking about just everything at once. I'm going to talk about, in one video, I'm going to talk about one thing. But then there will be other videos that I'll talk about, you know, a couple things, but I'll focus on one or two things. And on my live videos, I will concentrate on a lot of my stories that I have to tell. And as I get older, I still am going through them. I still am actively going through them. I never got away from it. You don't ever get away from it, but things do get easier. I promise you that. You just have to fight. You have to not give up. And that's the important part. Even if you're in addiction, you end up leading into depression. And then depression ends up leading into suicide, because you don't want to do it no more, because you know you're hurting your family. I know that. I'm very aware of that. I mean, can't tell me how many times I got kicked out of the house because I kept huffing. So, and no, huffing is not like cocaine, or it's not like heroin or anything like that, but it's just as dangerous, you know. It is a street drug, and it's something that's real. And there's new drugs that are out there that I've never ever even got introduced as a kid, but I hear about today that are killing kids and that are killing adults. You know, it's not just kids, it's also adults too. You know, adults are important too. You know, just because we're not kids doesn't mean we're not important. And you think that, if you think that being an adult you don't get bullied, oh my goodness, you're in for a treat. I tell you what, we get bullied all the time. I don't get bullied now, but I fear it. I fear it hardcore, which is why I have a little bit harder time on YouTube getting in front of the camera, because I'm scared of being judged. But I pull through it because I know it's important to what I need to do for what I want in life, and to move forward and to try to better my life. That's the important part, is not worrying about what people are going to say about you. You know, that doesn't matter. You know, I'm always focused on, my hair looks really bad. I have OCDs about my hair looking bad. Well, or the center of my head is bald, and I got all these, you know, who cares? Just be, you know, and I tell myself, I have to tell myself, Christopher, I love you. That's me, of course. I'm Christopher. But, you know, I tell myself that I'm beautiful, that I'm good looking, and that I'm worth living for. And I've got a lot to a lot to do, a lot of work to do. I've got a lot of videos to create to help someone in need. I'm always trying to, I get more joy out of creating videos, whether it be my music videos on DJ Check or on videos that are music. They don't have lyrics with them, they don't have vocals on them, but they give them an emotion. That's all I care about, an emotion that feels good or that understands what you're going through. Or, you know, the recent one I just posted about my grandmother, it's an emotion and it's real, and it's not something you should hide. You shouldn't have to hide your emotions. You should be able to talk about it freely with any of your family members or friends. And if you really can't do that, and they don't support you in that, I don't think they're really good friends. But I'm just saying, I might get a lot of flack from that, but I don't care. If you're going to be a real friend, you're going to be supportive of that person, and if they're going through a hard time, you're going to be there for them. That goes with family. Just because you're family does not mean that you're being helpful. If you're not doing anything and you know what's going on, and you know that person's depressed, you need to do something. You got to do something before it's too late. It's important. It's so important. I can't stress that enough. You know, even talking to someone a little bit, even when they're at the lowest part, you know, let's say that they take you off Facebook for a while because they're so depressed because they can't even look at themselves. Well, I've been there. And a lot of my family don't talk to me because of it. I go through depression all the time, and it's hard. It's you know, I feel sometimes like an outcast, but I'm not living for them. I'm living for me. You know, I'm trying to better my life, and I know that I went through a really bad depression about a year ago, and I had taken everyone off. I didn't want to embarrass myself in front of everyone because I was going through such a bad depression. But depression also can lead to other things that can cause issues, believe it or not. Depression can lead to cancer. It can lead to diseases. And I know you've heard that. If you haven't, that's new to you. That's a good thing. It's something... See, the only thing I'm really addicted to right now is cigarettes. And cigarettes help me cope, and I have a hard time getting off of them. I've been smoking for, I would say close to 21 years. I could be a little bit off, maybe by a year or two below, but yeah, it's been around 21 years or so, somewhere around there. And I feel very, very, like I have enough knowledge because I've gone through it myself to let you guys know what I've been through and what I felt that I needed during that time. What I needed is I tried to reach out, but I couldn't get anywhere. And that's a big thing that I always did struggle with growing up. And I didn't understand why no one would hear me out. They just throw pills at me, throw pills at me, throw pills at me. But one really talked to me. Problem is that if you don't have a good insurance, you're not going to get a counselor. If you don't have enough money, they won't pay for your counseling. They won't pay for your. So you have to fight yourself. I mean, you can't go out if you don't have a support system to talk to someone about. Then, well, you're kind of on your own, but you have people, but some of you actually do have a great support system. Use it. Please use it. It's really important because you're really important. Okay? That's why I want to emphasize mostly out of all of the things I've talked about is how important you are, and that you are needed because you could be the next person that inspires another person. You know, when you're going through that, you could be the next person that could inspire someone that needs your help, that needs someone who's been through it. Because with those who have been through it, understand, and they can be a better mentor, is the word I think I'm looking for. A good mentor for those that are going through that same thing that you're going through, whether it be drug abuse. And AA meetings are always a good thing, NA meetings. But I just wanted to get a general feel. This is kind of a general overall of the whole channel that I'm going to be going through. So this is kind of jumping around, but it's just kind of a general feel for what I'm going at for the entire channel. I'm also going to be talking about some life stuff, so as well. There's some other things that I also do that are not related to this stuff, that are like, for example, my life enjoyments in life. Storms, I enjoy storms. Storms are my big inspiration, so I will be including those in there. And I say a lot. It's just it's a common tick for me mentally. I just always say it, especially when I'm nervous. I get nervous in front of the camera because of the bullying. I can't be in large crowds because of that, and along with other issues. But bullying is one of the biggest things that I had struggled through, along with depression and suicide. And I didn't, obviously I'm still here, so I made it. And I'm still continuing to fight. It's never an ending battle. Don't think it just gets better, or that things get better. I see a lot of crud. I'm going to say crud rather than crap, but crud on YouTube, where people go on there and they start hassling someone about, they're doing this, or they're making fun of their video or whatever like that, and I feel like it's hard to be on YouTube, and yeah, you're gonna get a lot of flack. I understand that. But have you ever thought about what that person feels inside when you do that, even though they don't show it? Even though they say, well, I'm glad you feel that way. I'm sorry that you feel that way. But do you ever think basically what they actually feel? Do you ever imagine that could be destroying them when they do that? You just gotta put a dislike. That's all you gotta do. Leave it alone. There's some channels out there that are, they need some help, but that's okay. They need some help, and I try to help out wherever I can. And I'm a huch person, inspiration for helping others, whether it be YouTubers, people in life, being nice. But I also have post-traumatic stress disorder from all the abuse as a child, and also the the amount of bullying I got. I get loud, and I do yell, and it's out of my control, and after it happens, I feel so bad. It's really tough. It's something I've gotten better with, but after my grandma passed away, it really got ramped up a lot. I really got stressed out because the person that was always listening to me wasn't there no more. So I kind of had to adjust to managing with the people around me, and disconnect with people that I didn't really feel close to. And I have a hard time with connecting with people personally, but I try to always do better every day. And that's all you need to think about, is that you're doing the best you can, and that's all that's important. You should feel proud of that. Pat yourself on the back, because you're doing the best you can, and that's the most important thing I gotta say. And one thing that constantly goes through my mind as I'm creating this video is if it's good enough, if it's going to make people mad. That's commonly what happens when people either are scared of, basically that's this normal reaction to YouTube. But for me, it's a little bit more extreme. I've been doing this for YouTube for about a month and a half. And I know that's not a lot of time, but I would not be surprised if I got a little bit better on that. But but I don't ever show it. So I'm talking about it now, that I constantly, when I'm doing YouTube, I constantly go through those emotions. You know, you'll hear me talk about emotions on this channel a lot, and I love creating music. I love listening to music. Music is my life. It's something that I use. I use music to actually talk. Sometimes even, sometimes I'll send Penny, my wife, you know, a music video, and I'll have an emotion. I'll say, what do you think that means? And we'll talk about it, and she'll sit down and just listening to me, and that's what I need, and that's helped me so much. Just having that listening, just having that someone that just sat down and just listen, and that's the most important inspiration that anyone can give anyone that's going through that. And if you know, what could I've done better? Well, you could do it now. If you know someone that is wanting to commit suicide or is going through a really bad depression, get them help. If you know they're wanting to commit suicide, don't do nothing. Call the crisis line. I have the number. Go up to my channel at the top of my, I got all the numbers. I got bullying hotline. I've got, you know, to help you get through that, to kind of make you feel a little bit more better. They help out with a lot of those things to make you feel, and also get the help you need. There's the crisis line, and I've got that number up on the top of my, it's on the page art at the, if you go into my page, you'll see it at the top, right next to my logo of my picture. And I mean, it's really real, and it's more than ever. And I tell you what, one thing right now, suicide rate is way higher than cancer, way far, and it's huge. And it's something that I sponsor, and I'm going to be sponsoring on my videos. And I hope no one has a problem with it. If they do, well, I'm sorry, but those people that need it. So, but anyways, well, I'll wrap this video up, and hope you guys have a great day.